What's up? This is Jordan Gray from Half Lit and Dope Living TV.
Hey, this your boy Don Ritchie representing the Midwest 219 Stand Up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Lamar Tate.
This is your girl, Monifa.
Hey, what up? It's your man Dave Hollister from Blackstreet.
You know what this is right here. This Trigger Tretch in the building.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Jason Weaver. And whenever I'm back home in the Chi, I'm checking out Dope Living TV.
Hey, it's your girl, Adina Howard, and you're watching Dope Living TV, live with Greg Gray and the crew.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy Greg Gray, Dope Living TV Live. The views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV Live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates. So today we get a little serious again. All right. We want to talk about Roe versus Wade. Now, you might ask, what is Roe versus Wade? For those who don't know, it's a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restrictions. Now, we are facing right now an opportunity, and I use that term loosely, where Roe versus Wade is getting ready to be overturned, which means that more than likely it will strip a woman of her right to have a child or not to have a child. There are 16 states in the United States that would protect that abortion access under the state law in the event that Roe versus Wade is overturned. Let's get into it, y'all. We got some questions, we got some answers. But again, the views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV Live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates. Having said that, what's going on, Gina?
Hey, I'm going to say it too. The views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV Live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates, because we're really going to express our opinions today.
We're definitely going to do that. You all bear with me for a second, because I got a text just now from Marcella. She said, "Did I miss the link? Please send her the link." Everybody say what's up to Kevin.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
All good, man. It's all good. Mo B, what's up, bro?
What's going on? Hey, what's going on, Gina?
Welcome
Hey.
to
Hey, Mo.
Welcome to the jungle.
Mo B.
What's going on, Mac?
Hey. I like that show, Gas Monkey.
Yeah,
Man.
pretty cool.
Yep.
So yeah, man, we January the 22nd, 1973. That was when Roe versus Wade was put into effect. And now here we stand. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but for whatever reason,
We're back there again.
it's about to be reversed. And we got a bunch of questions. Okay, does the government have rights over a woman's body? Are they protecting a human being with this reversal? And are there dangers with the removal of that ruling?
Ooh, man, that's so controversial, Big Bro. Everything you just asked is very controversial.
It's a political third rail. It is a social third rail, and I honestly believe this nut's been opened for one reason, and political reason. It's a diversion of whatever the hell else is finna go on.
It's got to be a diversion, because I don't see the sense of it.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't see the sense of having it overturned. I mean, this is something that's been in effect since the 70s.
But you remember, excuse me, you remember that was something that Trump wanted overturned, and that's why there were certain judges that he put in place that he felt would overturn it.
Well,
Yeah, and the sad part about it, and because of his Supreme Court appointments, if this gets overturned, he just opened up Pandora's box for S to happen. I'm going to say shit happen.
Yes,
we ain't got it. We don't have to sugarcoat it.
All right.
I was downtown.
That's true. That's true.
I was downtown over the weekend, and there were protests everywhere. I mean, people were out with signs. It was just crazy just to see this, because I can remember back when it was happening back in the 70s, and now it's like deja vu.
All over again, huh?
All over again.
Again, like I said, I think this is a ruse or a diversion. So we need to be vigilant about priorities of, things that are important to us. We need to be vigilant about those things and not put them on the back burner because these guys are putting up a diversion.
It's a setup for something else to come.
It is definitely that.
A distraction. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So outside of and people would throw it in there and say morally it's wrong anyway, but outside of that, let's just take that out of the picture. All right.
Oh, no, we can't take it out completely, Greg. And I say this because I understand what we talked about, and the reason why I say we can't take it out completely is because we are messengers. We've always been messengers. We're not the judge or the executioner. So that's left up to God. So if you decide to take that route, that's your route. You got to take it. That's whatever God you worship. That's what God you're going to have to own up to.
Right.
Right. But I think the bigger picture is the pros and cons of Roe versus Wade, how it's going to affect people as a whole. We know, Marcy, we know we're not going to get any abortions. But what happens with Roe versus Wade?
I had jokes, but I'm going to leave them alone.
What happens with Roe versus
I saw your face.
Wade
I did like this. What?
is going to affect a large number of individuals, and that's what we want to focus on, because how is it going to affect individuals? How is it going to affect females that, aren't ready to have children, or in some cases rape, because it does affect that as well. Rape will be involved in that as well.
Well, I think it's going to go back to the way it was before Roe versus Wade, whereas, in the back alley and unsanitary conditions and people who don't really know what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, that's what it's affecting. It's affecting the minorities and poor people. And that's what it's affecting. I mean, when you say make America,
Wait a minute, Mo.
When you make America great, it's what America are you talking about, and how great do you want it to be? They're trying to reverse time, reverse history, and this is the first slap in the face of saying, "Look how powerful we are."
It's one of those slaps in the face. I agree with that, because it's been multiple slaps here in the last couple of years. I mean, everything from reversing voting, those voting regulations that they have.
Yeah,
it's been a bunch of slaps, and they've been tidy enough to where we should have been raising hell, because back in the day, folks before us raised all kind of cane about voting rights, and here we just let that get, stuff on the road. Gerrymandering and everything else that's going on.
But the thing about that is you have so many people now that are saying, well, right now it doesn't directly affect me, whatever the issues are. So why should I fight for that? It's not directly affecting me. And it is directly affecting you, because when you start allowing certain laws and things to come through without saying anything, like you said, it opens up a door for the next one. So,
right Hitler.
But this kind of sets a precedence, because it's going to set a precedence as to what the government is allowed to do to other people. And so it does set a precedence in what that decision is. If it's, now what more are they going to come back and say you can't do?
Exactly. That's a hell of a point, G.
Byron says no one who has ever had a monthly cycle or ever been pregnant should be making any decisions about a woman's health.
I agree.
My man.
Yes. I agree. I'm in agreement as well.
I agree.
It's crazy, man, because
Black Ooh.
I'm just in awe of the fact that it's been since 79,
73.
3, I think.
73. And I mean, leave well enough alone. It was already ruled. It was already
But not
done.
because they wanted it though.
Okay, but those guys that probably did it or ruled against it are dead, probably. You know.
We got a few that's still kicking around here.
I said
some
probably.
some
Correct
are
me if
still
I'm wrong.
around.
I'm still here.
Yeah, and it's like now they have the power to change something that they didn't want in the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And it's white men. It's white men that want this overturned.
Again, it goes back to slapping us in the face again, right in front of us. You know what I'm saying? Well, not all of us, but a good percentage of us. And I honestly think, to my heart, that this is a divergence for something a hell of a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So people thought of it
because it's big enough to take our attention off a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? It's big enough to say, hey, what are they doing over there? And we're taking our focus off of other things we may have, voting rights and stuff like that, because they want this idiot back in office again. So they're doing everything possible. Those will be small moves, gerrymandering and all that other stuff, and making sure we don't get butts out to vote to get the smaller seats in, so we can get the big seats when it's time for the big seats. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? The question. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. I mean, Black Google. My apologies.
I'm listening right now.
Well, this is one of the things that was always brought up, even back in the 70s. Does the government have the right to tell a woman what to do with their body?
Nope.
Well,
that was one of the biggest arguments.
Correct.
Here's the thing: a lot of people thought that the Roe versus Wade was legalized abortion. Okay, but that's not true. What that whole case did was to change the way the states can regulate abortion. All right. So
and for funding for abortion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now,
and they made it. They looked at it as something that was covered under the constitutional rights of privacy, and the way that people construed it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. And they put it under that shield of so-called shield of their religions too, and they're gonna have to answer to God about that. Again, we're not the executioner or the judges. We're the messengers, and these folks run around here. The reason why a lot of people are turning away from a religion is because of that. They want to beat them over the head with the Bible and reading.
But see, what people are not realizing, they overturn this. What happens? The foster care system is already effed already. So there's going to be an abundance of children brought into this world that shouldn't be here. That's going to be abandoned. And then the other thing is you're going to have all these people learning how to be doctors on the internet, giving abortions on their cousins and friends.
Well, one of the things I want to add, and I want people to understand, this ruling does not ban abortion. They're saying you can have an abortion as early as up to 6 weeks, right?
But the Heartbeat Act.
But let me tell you, as a woman, most of the time at 6 weeks, you don't even know you're pregnant.
Yep. Truth.
That's the loophole.
So it's like, we're not saying you can't have an abortion. You just got to have it within this time frame. Well, that time frame, we don't even know that we've conceived.
The abortion thing is quite simple. If you don't believe in abortion, then don't have one. But don't infringe on the rights of others who choose to do something that you don't think.
It's just like smoking and drinking.
Thank you.
Michelle says no, they don't. And all of that's great, man. There are, I think they said there's 16, 13 states that will not adhere to that. All right. But then there comes there's going to be a regulation if this passes that tells you can only travel so far. They're not going to fight you, but you can only travel so far for people that are seeking abortion. They can only travel so far. And they're going to put a map out there that's going to tell you if you're living in this state, you can only go X amount of miles to get an abortion. Go past that, then consequences, I guess, you know.
But
And
if you look at the state of Texas, they're putting a bounty on, you know,
Doctors.
people, you know, that are getting abortion. So all I got to do is accuse you, and they're going to give me $10,000. So
Sounds like Nazi Germany to me.
No,
And that
didn't have to
does
prove that
also
you had an abortion.
include the abortion pill.
It does.
So they're putting so much red tape into women even being able to get the abortion pill, where they have to go to the doctor, get paperwork to get it. Whereas they're saying that, you know, there's so much going on with COVID that is unnecessarily being done and clogging up doctors' offices for something that, you know, is pretty much irrelevant. Why take a woman through all of this when, you know, they can just get the pill? There's no physical you have to take, or, you know, they have to check your temperature or anything like that. It's just so that you could have to jump through hoops.
But it's just insane to me. It is really insane to me that, and it's probably going to be repeated all night and after, that the government, number one, we're coming up to an election, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
So now something has to be done in order to sensationalize this election, and this is it. All right. But what gives any government, any man, any politician the right to tell a woman what to do with her body? I don't get it. And
But
it's not cool. Go ahead, Kevin.
Let me add on that. Do you think the fact that we have a lack of baby formula just happens to be on the heels of this right now?
Come on.
I mean, think about
that they're
this.
going to kill all the babies consisting of baby formula.
Yeah, we're going to starve them to death.
I was thinking that today, Kevin. I'm like, you know, this is just so coincidental, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, I'm going to talk on the other side of the coin, because, you know, a lot of people, not everyone is for Roe versus Wade. We all know that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had to fight to get the ruling through. There's also, you know, and these individuals were out there at the over the weekend at the rallies. There's a feeling that these are human beings that are being murdered. And so many people view the point of conception as a human being. And so people feel like when you go to have an abortion, you're actually murdering a human being. So that has to be talked about too, because there are some points to be made there.
I guess.
I did a little research on that, and from what the consensus was from different places, that upon conception, it is a living being.
Right.
It's alive. Whether you call it an embryo, fetus, or whatever, it is a living being, and so for a lot of people, it is considered murder.
That's just going too deep.
So,
I'm just saying, that's just going way too deep.
Well, that's why a lot of people are against abortions, because
I understand that. And
that's
right.
and that's where the big argument is.
Right. The biggest argument with that is that they are fighting for the rights of that unborn child.
Of a life.
Understood. And again, I get it, but to me, and I'm either way, you know, it's the woman's choice. Period. Right. It's the woman's choice. And that's where I'm gonna leave that at as far as my comment goes. Let's watch this video. It's called Go ahead, Maurice.
It was one other thing that, you know, that we used to have this talk about, you know, Roe v. Wade and abortions a long time ago on another show. And I can remember one gentleman telling me, well, the human cells die every day. Okay. You shed off a bunch of cells every day. They die. The living thing, that the sperm, when they met the egg, it was alive. So of course that's true, Marcy. Exactly. But again, does it say as a human being, just like your cells, your skin cells, and all other cells that die off of your body every day? These just don't happen to die because they're not exposed. So, I mean, a lot of people say that it's just like another cell. You know, it's not a human being till it comes out.
There will be a debate.
Yeah, there will be, and that opened up the can of worms for on purpose, because biologically, yes, it is a bunch of cells, and they tell you these cells divide, and and all this and multiply and everything, and then they start to form into a human. And I fully know after so long, it's a human being, a little tiny human being there. Okay, I fully know. Everybody on this panel fully knows that there's a little tiny human being involved at a certain point. Okay, the question is, before the human being is formed, what is it?
But also the question is, what? Well, I'm not even going to say a question. This is more of a statement that that human being or form or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, whatever you classify it as, is a part of that female body, and she has the right to decide what she wants to do with her
That
body.
is the point.
Absolutely. Look, Byron says those states that are banning or placing restrictions on abortions are the states with the highest rates of incest and basic inbred behaviors. Betty Hill says, I believe this is a form of control these people want from women. Perhaps for some of those men to be able to try to have women submit to their personal needs. I think that's a good comment.
Wow.
That's
She-
valid.
All right, Betty.
Point blank period. She
You got the
believes.
comment of the night
Yeah, I think that's a great comment.
so far.
Let's watch this video real quick. It's called "You Decide." Like that's the one you're talking about, Gina.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's watch this. It's 3 minutes. We'll be right back.
I have had an abortion.
A few months ago, I found out that I was pregnant. When I imagined myself finding out I was pregnant for the first time, I wanted it to be celebrated. And in that moment, I felt such severe anxiety. And having that, I felt like the entire time I was just in a lot of emotional pain, grieving. I was debating about myself, about how I would be looked at or how I would view myself after getting the procedure done.
Something we probably all can agree on is abortion usually is a symptom of a bigger problem. Whether it's finances, whether it's stability of housing, whether it's relationship issues. My perspective is that we address those issues instead of ending the life of a child.
I disagree. I don't think that abortion is a symptom. People should be able to access abortion when, how, wherever they want or need. I don't think that it's a problem to be fixed. I think that is still stigmatizing.
But I think the biggest thing is that there are birth control methods out there, and abortion should not be a birth control method. I think that's very critical. And to hear that, you weren't celebrated. I think life should be celebrated with everybody.
I'd like to call attention to that point too, just the fact of using abortion as birth control. I thank you for everyone sharing their stories so far. I didn't step forward, I haven't had an abortion myself, but I am a survivor of rape. I was on birth control at the time, and I still made the decision with my medical team that birth control is not 100% effective, and I wanted access to emergency contraceptive to take on top of that. And had that pregnancy or any of those methods failed, I would have chosen to have an abortion, and I'm very grateful that I had access to those resources, and I'm so mindful that there's so many women who don't.
Well, I think it gets down to the heart of the issue here. What is the unborn? Which scientifically the embryo is from conception, a living whole organism with distinct DNA. As a Christian, I come from a worldview that says that every human being has dignity and worth.
Not to disrespect any religion in general, but in my eyes, that's just pushing a belief onto someone rather than actually stating a real concrete fact.
So scientifically, I'm pro-life because of science, not because of religion. But scientifically, I believe that life does start at conception. I don't think it makes sense to put life beginning at any other place during pregnancy. Doing so usually ends up saying that an already born person isn't alive, such as consciousness, heartbeat, etc. There are many pro-life people here from the science perspective who are not led by religious motives at all or partially.
Okay, now that just turned me off right there. Okay, look, the one girl was talking about it's an issue that needs to be dealt with. Okay, as far as
she's in another world,
or boyfriend and girlfriend, or relationship, things like that. Look, as soon as and I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna sound like an old person. When you lay down with somebody and you are not protected, you're going to, conception is going to happen. Okay.
It is 50-50.
50-50. All right. Yeah. Okay. 50-50. I'll give it that. Okay. But the thing is, what could happen. All right.
Yep.
The woman as well as the man. When you raw dog it, okay. I mean, come on. So you haven't asked the question. Hey,
write that down, Marcelo.
Yeah, write that down, Marcelo. Raw dog. You haven't asked the question.
No. No.
I'm a little upset at that, because if you haven't asked the question, the girl hasn't volunteered the information. I'm on a pill or this and that. All right. So you go and do it. Now, there's a baby involved. All right. It is not, number one, that baby didn't ask to be born. Okay. Number two, brothers, don't get mad at that girl because she says, well, I think I'm going to have this child, because that's her choice. All right. That's her body. All right. And you should be a man and fucking handle your responsibility. It happened. Okay. I'm sorry, man. I ain't even got my head together right now with that one, because that said a whole lot of stuff right there. Byron says the whole debate is why all of my kids are like Maxwell House coffee, good to the last drop.
Yeah, that video just confirmed, because there were several different situations and conversations,
different views,
that the final decision should remain with the person that needs to make the decision. No other outside source.
Exactly, Kevin. Tina says, I'm pro-life. However, I feel the controlling of someone's freedom is once again slavery and or bondage. Take away one right starts a trend of many more rights being taken away.
Yes, exactly.
True that, Tina.
Yeah.
And that's the point. That there is the point right there. I mean, you had one selfish lady talking about people got to, we got to fix the problem. There's no problem with people loving each other. There's no problem with people getting together. There's only one problem. If they made that decision, they made it as grown folks and consensual. And if they make the choice to terminate the pregnancy, they made it as grown folks and consensual. I mean, and again, like I said earlier, they have to deal with the consequences. Whatever religion they, happen to follow, we're not nothing but the messengers. All we can do is coach people through things. People try to beat folks over the head with God. You cannot do it. And this is one way that the right has been trying to inject God in here. You can't inject God in this.
And Maurice, believe it or not, I mean, and this is just my personal opinion, I think all this that's happened within the last 4 or 5 years, we're being played. We're being set up in order to make sure we're so divided that the only people that can bring someone together is the people that are making these rules.
That's right.
You coming in today, Kevin? Woo!
Yeah.
The megaphone today, bro.
But you know what really stuck out with me is the young lady who didn't have an abortion, but said she was raped.
And she had
she wanted to ensure that nothing came of that. I know someone who went through that situation and had the child. And there is so many problems in the home. There's so much resentment. It's a bad situation.
Yeah.
And so when you have to look at that child and you're reminded, this is how this child was not brought here out of love. It was brought out of here out of something very negative.
Yeah.
For the rest of their lives.
For the rest of their lives.
And they're not looking at the fact that the population that they're aiming this at that's going to affect this most is already a population that's already traumatized by the life that they're living now. And this is going to add an additional trauma. The people that, if this is reversed, there are people that can financially afford to go ahead and have an abortion, and this will never become a conversation because they will travel to wherever they can, the same way they do plastic surgery and everything else.
Right.
But the people that are going to be mostly affected by are the people that they're trying to control.
Betty says we also have to look at one's mental state at that time too.
Yeah.
Byron says, and why should non-believers have to be subjected to the believers' religious values?
Okay.
I'm going to say this, Byron. We've been screwed over since the time we came over on a boat and manipulated by religion. No offense, Marcelo, but I'm going to say they have used religion in order to enslave us at a much deeper level, and just like they're using religion to control something that we shouldn't be even have a conversation of trying to control.
How are they using religion to control something?
It's for the simple fact most of these groups that are talking about overturning this are religious groups.
Okay, but that's just their opinion. That's really because, okay, let me put it like this. I am against abortions because of my beliefs, but I am also against government trying to control a woman and what they can do with their bodies. So those are two different entities right there. I do remember back in the day, something that I thought was really interesting, whereas insurance companies paid for abortions, but they would not pay for birth control. And that to me just I didn't understand that.
Wasn't that crazy?
Pardon me?
That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's because of government funding.
It's kind of like
it's a money thing.
It's kind of like the deal right now. This is the most craziest thing in the whole wide world to me right now. It is illegal for a child to have a play gun, but the real ones are available for anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, let me step back for a second. Gina made a comment about somebody who got raped and still had the baby. So let me ask you, Marcella, and again, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not dispelling anything, okay? But if you were in that position, would you get an abortion?
At this point, no.
You were in that position.
I because of what my beliefs are at this point, but there's also other avenues, like, you know, how Gina was saying, there's a lot of issues going on because of that child. There's always adoptions.
Foster care is horrible.
I didn't say foster care, I said adoptions.
Yeah, but they're not adopting black babies in the United States. That's only if you come
And
from
then there's not all, you know, some of them don't end up in good homes.
So, yeah, and that's true. Question, with the Roe versus Wade, I'm not sure. Does that include if you were raped as well?
Yes,
But
they're actually trying
even if you were raped, they're saying you still would not be able to have one?
Yeah,
they're trying to put some other stuff into the cartel, that kind of. They're trying to cover that. But
on the religion,
what Greg just
aspect, real quick, Maurice, I'll get back to you. Tina James says, God even said that he will not make anyone serve him. Therefore, it is their choice and their burden or sin. Byron says slaves used to pray to the same God that the slave masters worship. Clearly, one side's prayers weren't being answered. Go ahead, Maurice.
Going back to what Marcia said, she said she wouldn't, but you had a choice.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying. I'm against what government trying to control women's what women can do with their bodies. I'm definitely against that because we all have a choice.
Right.
I wouldn't do it. That's my choice. I wouldn't do it.
But I Google, you quiet tonight.
So you gotta think about the child as well that is coming into this world. Think about the child, and I'm speaking on that rape situation. This child came into that room. What are you going to tell this child when it grows up and is able to understand?
Ooh, you guys don't even know.
I know someone predicted.
I mean, the thing is, I could understand if you're going to put this in place, but there's going to be other things to help out up further down the line. There is nothing there for this family. There's no counseling available for them. There's nothing there to help them get through this. And there has never been anything there to help them to get through this. You put this in place and you're saying no matter what, you're not going to this is it. But what about all of these different circumstances? It's not always, oh, I just got drunk and had sex, now I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And see, that raises a case. We've already got a problem here in this country with mental illness that we have not gotten control over. And now we're creating another trauma that's going to add that.
And see, that's what Betty was talking about. We have to look at one's mental state at that time as well.
Also, when women have abortions, I'm just going to put it out there. They have, after abortions, it's not just everyone is just saying, okay, I don't want this child or whatever, I'm going to go ahead and have an abortion. There's PTSD after having an abortion. I know women. There's you go to a different emotional and mental state, even though you might have felt, hey, I can't financially afford this child, or I'm no longer with the father, or the father's not going to be here, or I just don't want the child, there's always going to, I want to say, I believe more times than not, there are going to be mental and emotional issues after having that abortion as well.
But there's PSTD even when you have a child.
Right. And that's it's both ways.
Yeah, postpartum, that can be dangerous. But, let's look at it this way. In the event that it does pass, are they going to put plans and finances behind the after effects of this trauma? Are the ghettos going to increase? Are the gang memberships going to increase because we have all these children that have been abandoned for whatever reason that feel left out? Or are we're going to have a more diverse group of people committing mass shootings just for the simple fact they don't fit in?
Yeah, I understand with the first thing that you said. This country don't got no money. We giving $30 billion to a war we're not a part of, so we don't have no money.
I want to hear from Black Google.
Me too.
From who?
You're up. Black Google, you're up.
Where can I start? First things first, with Roe versus Wade, it actually, if they change that, that means they're changing the 14th Amendment. It's against, you crazy, Greg. I believe that a person should have a say-so over their bodies. If they overturn this, like Greg said earlier, I believe it's like 13 or 14 states that will ban abortions.
Yeah.
With one of the states being the state that passed the Roe versus Wade, which is Texas.
Texas.
Yes. In the gathering of that, if it gets overturned and all this happened, it basically, what we talk about off camera, gives the United States more leeway to do what they do as far as creating dollars for new people that's born. That's what this is all about. It's always about money. When you want to find out something, just follow the dollar. And that's what you have to do, follow the dollar.
I told you guys it was all about money. We just had to go to Black Google.
I believe you, bro.
It's all about the dollar, man. And the good thing, I mean, I support what California is doing. The governor of California passed a law that if you want to get an abortion, it won't come out of pocket. There's no copay. It's any of that. So basically, if your insurance covers, you can get an abortion for free. I believe personally that no man, period, should make rules, like y'all said earlier, over the female body at all. If you don't have women making that decision, judging this in court, I believe it doesn't stand on any morals of the 14th Amendment.
I think personally that, like you said, Chris, I mean, we can't tell them what to do outside anything. That's more or less you do with their bodies. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, I mean, that
sounds like a married man.
Okay. That's the truth. I mean, it is the truth. It is what it is.
It is. But I mean, like I said, that goes into
now we're gonna tell
us being controlled by the government.
And that's what it feels like to me. That's exactly what it feels like to me. We have a few.
Us turning the United States of America into like a communist country.
Right.
We have to do what they say do and how they say do it. You know what I'm saying? And the United States, the only reason they're trying to be a part of this Ukraine-Russia situation is because they want a one nation world. They want one nation to run the whole world.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Hey, hold on.
That's the only reason they are part of this Ukraine situation. The only
Let me read
reason.
some of these comments real quick. What's up?
Mhm.
Everybody say what's up to Ron Reed, by the way.
Hey, Ron.
How's it going, everybody? Hey, Ron.
Hey, Byron says that slaves used to pray to the same God that the slave masters worship. I already read that one. Did I leave that up?
Yeah, you read that
Yeah.
one.
Robert says they have been trying to change the 14th Amendment for a
Yeah,
while now.
they have.
Darian
Yes, they
says she respectfully disagrees. This isn't about dollars. This is about the birth of white babies. White women have more abortions per capita than women of color. Betty
That's
Hill
true.
says,
But
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that is true. I mean, that's with everything though, because there's more of them than us in the world. But to stop that, this has a lot to do with money. Has a whole lot to do with money. To anything that comes between the law or through the law or through the Supreme Court justice has to do with money.
Money. Yep.
Okay. Betty Hill says having an abortion is the woman's choice. I am a believer, and personally, if it happened to me, being raped, and due to the circumstances of being traumatized, this would affect me personally, mentally to the core. Again, it depends on a woman's mental state at the time.
Yeah.
Tina James says that's the plan, one world order. And
Yeah.
Darian says we're not talking about the Ukraine, we're talking about abortion.
Come on,
Well, we actually talking about it all because the United States has something to do with Ukraine.
Lillian Howard says they are trying to stay the majority, but because they are becoming minority, they are wanting to make abortions illegal. And Darian says babies of color and being born at a higher rate and have surpassed births of white babies.
So that goes back to what Lillian just said.
Well, remember what I said about that statistic? They said that by 2026, that 80% of the children being born in the United States will be of mixed descent.
Yeah, you did
So,
say.
my whole theory of Hershey's chocolate, mix it with anything, it comes out brown.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Let's hear from Ron. Ron, what do you think about this subject, man?
I don't believe in killing babies. I don't really believe in abortion, but I'm a man. That's not my right to say what happens to a woman's body. That's what I believe. I mean, I believe that ball is out of my court. I believe it does come down to money. I believe that it's a woman's right to choose. I don't know if I want to fund it, especially for the many reasons that a woman might have to have an abortion. So it really does come down to money and funding and how who just said something about funding happening, like you can basically have an abortion for free under your insurance.
I said that, and that's the truth. I knew women in my 20s that used abortions as birth control because they're like, hey, it's cheaper just to go get an abortion versus having to pay for the birth control. It was
Right.
kind of expensive back in the day, which was, to me, was crazy.
Right. It's so many different reasons. I've heard of women having abortions just because they were mad at the father.
Yeah.
And so it's so many different reasons. I don't know if I want to fund that, but I also believe that it is a woman's right to choose. I think that it should be, if the father is around, I think that he should be able to sign off on it. If he should have a choice in it if he's around. Because I've also seen that where fathers where the man he was very angry and sad that my girlfriend went and had an abortion.
So now the man choosing what to do with the woman's body.
Let me paint a picture. If someone broke into your house and your spouse, and they tied you up, robbed you, and raped your wife, and then later on you found out she was pregnant with his child, and you had a certain kind of way that you weren't against you were against abortion. Would you allow your wife to have a child that's not yours and it was created out of rape?
If that was her choice, if that was her choice. Now, if like going along with me saying that if it was the man, I think the man should be able to sign off on it. Are you saying if this guy came forward and said, "Well, I want this baby"?
No.
No.
If someone broke into your house
Mm-hmm.
and your wife, you were tied up, bound, they raped your wife.
Yeah.
And found out she was pregnant. And because of her beliefs of not wanting to get an abortion, she wanted to bring this child into the world. How would that land on you?
I mean, it would hurt. That would hurt. But I mean, it's also if she wanted to go through with that, man, that's hard to say. But I mean, I couldn't tell her no because it is her body.
All right, let's get some of these comments out the way real quick. I'm sorry. Darian says, as long as you have people of color with the mindset of Clarence Thomas, then the majority will continue to rule. She also says, if you don't want to fund abortion, then don't fund Viagra, penile implants, etc.
But Byron's training somebody.
Donna says, my truth is it's a whole load of programming system that lowers our great vibrations. It's all slavery, old mess. It all ties together to keep us distracted. We all have free will. Okay, that's what it says. It's how we use our free will.
Oh, free will.
Free will. That's how we use our free will. Rise up. Lillian says, what we don't want is for women to go back to alley abortion, especially women who are being sex trafficked. We got you. And Darian says, good discussion at the airport. My plane is boarding.
Have a safe trip.
Safe trip, Dorian.
Safe trip.
Darian, safe trip.
I guess can I say something? Can I qualify my statements?
Yeah.
I guess what I mean is I don't want to fund it. But there are a lot of people that will fund it, that will help. So I still think that I have a right to not want to fund it. But in saying that, there's people that really, really believe in this and that I believe that the funding would be there.
What do you mean by the funding? I'm a little confused with that.
Like if it's I should be able to opt out of funding abortion in my insurance plan. But I believe there are also a lot of people that would be in a particular insurance plan that would opt into funding it. I believe that it should be a choice that you should be able to choose what you want to fund in your insurance plan. But the government, when we leave things in the hands of the government to decide, man, they're so black and white. It's hard. They don't really. Our government doesn't really think things through when they put through a lot of these laws.
Our government chooses profit over. They choose profit over humanity all day long.
Well,
yeah, all day long. I agree with that.
What's best for them?
How can men even decide what's best for a woman, though?
You're right, Gina.
How can
I
they
agree.
make that decision that this is best for a whole group of just a group of women? Like this is what's best for them. Like they've never been a woman. They've never been pregnant. They've never had to go through any of that. So, the decision that it's just crazy to me.
Okay, so what if you Byron says in that scenario that Kevin describes, if my wife chooses to keep the baby, I would say, oh, okay. Like a part in the wheel.
I'm not.
But let me ask you this. So, and I understand man doesn't have a right over a woman's body and this and that, but say you're in a relationship and you all say that you're not going to have any kids until X amount of years down the line, but you still, all right. So, so you still and you have the baby. You don't have any visual aid. The lotion's gone. You have the baby. All right. Now, can the man say, "Well, hey, can you just get together and discuss it and say, well, I don't want it. I don't want a child right now." And the lady says, "Well, hey, I do." Now you're in a relationship. You're married, all right, but you didn't plan the baby. You wasn't ready for the baby. The man doesn't want it right now.
Ask about 10,000 basketball and football players.
Listen, there is so much birth control out there. If a man doesn't want to have a child, then there's things he can do. It's not always they want to put the responsibility on the woman all the time.
They didn't do it.
This sounds like a double standard.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't do it. I mean, it didn't happen. Okay, Betty Hill says people. We
Well,
have a lot of mental issues in this world right now. People are committing suicide, etc. The woman's choice is hers and hers only. We really have to put
with you,
ourselves in
Betty.
women's shoes.
I'm with you, Betty.
Fill those shoes. I don't think so.
Right. That's right, Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? The man could, even if in that scenario, even if he said, you know what, I'm done, I don't want this family, he disappears, and it's still on the responsibility of the woman.
Woman. Yes,
Well,
exactly.
see, and what she just said, I'm going to agree with Byron. What he said, or what Ron said last week. Woman, the guy is who she wants right now. If he doesn't decide to stay, she goes out and gets the guy she needs.
But like Chris said earlier, follow the dollars. It is about dollars, because guess what happens? The government does, in most cases, end up paying for those babies to be raised.
Lillian Howard says, the crazy part is white evangelicals are trying to say it's about God, but they have another agenda.
Yeah.
Renita says the movie Dirty Dancing was to shed light on the fact that Roe versus Wade was not that long ago and could be changed or challenged.
Wow.
Don't forget what Betty said. I want you to put her comment up there.
Back up. Vasectomy. Whoop. Go ahead, Betty.
They don't want to hear that, Betty.
No, I've had a
Let
vasectomy.
me say this
I'm
real quick. Let me say this real quick. Hold on. So why does a man have to get a vasectomy?
Wait, let me hold back to you. Yeah,
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either.
It's an option. I mean, if
But what option for what though?
for not
Ron,
having kids.
Ron, did you say you had one?
But,
Yeah,
but
I have I got a
it's
vasectomy.
still-
Yeah.
Okay, let Ron answer that then.
it still takes two to tango. You don't have to finish the process. Women can get pregnant from pre-cum. It can happen. It has nothing to do with having a vasectomy. It's about a woman really making the correct choice. Honestly, if we're gonna be 100 about the whole situation, y'all can say, "Oh, men can do this, men got to do that." No, that's not it. Because a woman only allows what she wants a man to do. If she doesn't want a baby and he doesn't want a baby, use protection or don't have
Let's
sex.
talk to Ron. Ron, why did you make that choice?
To have a
Real quick,
vasectomy.
Ron, before you say that,
That's personal.
Valiant Thor is on YouTube, and he says the abortion opinion leak is an excellent way to divert everyone's attention from rising gas prices, rising crime, inflation,
We said it
climate
earlier.
change crisis, immigration crisis, etc.
All
And
the
Chris,
above.
Tina says why they can't. Byron says I agree with Betty. Take the venom out of the snake. Go ahead, Ron.
Byron needs some help.
I was young. I had 3 kids. It's only 3 back seats in the car. My wife was calling me like at least once a month to tell me that she was pregnant. and I couldn't take it, man. I was just, I was on edge all the time. And I just
So that was your choice?
Yeah, it was my choice. It was what got me here. Let's get into this. When I went and I had it done, even though I was married, or I am married, I was married at the time. My wife didn't have any say so in that, which kind of got me. Yeah, which kind of got me because I was wondering, would she have to sign? I almost forgot about that. I was actually wondering, would she have to sign paperwork, being that we're legally bound together?
Legally, right.
Yeah.
So did you talk to her at all about it before? Okay, I know you said it was your choice, but did you talk to her at all about it before you did it?
Yeah, I talked to her because I had heard so many horrible things about women getting their tubes tied, and health issues and whatnot. And I figured, I'm not gonna lie, I was young. I heard a commercial on ESPN radio. I don't know if we could put that out there like that, but it was a radio commercial. And they said no needle, no scalpel. I was like, I'm down. And it was a simple process for me. And I'm happy every day that I did it. I'm serious. I'm cool with it.
That's all good. Valiant Thor says
Yeah.
watching from Los Alamos National Laboratory. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.
Yes,
Appreciate you.
All right,
And
Judy
Byron, I
says
still
hi.
got venom in my snake.
What you say?
Betty says Ron's mental state has set in. See, Byron says Ron is responsible. He knew his pullout game would be strong.
Wow.
Then Ron integrated himself into economic
Hey,
devastation.
you heard me say I was in my 20s and wasn't, man. I mean,
He didn't want to
But you know
appropriate
what?
himself.
I mean, I can appreciate somebody who can make a decision like that. And like going back to Black Google, it's between the two individuals, you know, what direction to go in as far as birth control.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, you
So that's
know,
another choice that you
that's
had.
another choice. But when when we saw the video and the young lady was saying that abortion stems from other issues. I didn't agree with that either. Other issues like
Well,
finances.
she's talking about social,
Right.
social and income.
But guess what? I don't know if I wasn't financially ready when I had my first child.
There's
I had
not
my
a-
first child at the age of 20.
There's no person
You know
on
what
the
I'm
planet
saying?
that's ready to be a parent.
And I made do. It wasn't a thought. Let me have an abortion because I can't afford to have a kid. You know that excuse, that to me is an excuse.
So is it a child once the man ejaculates?
When it penetrates the egg.
Right.
Because I'm saying if he has a condom on, then your child is smothering in that rubber, right?
No, it's not until
From the mind of Greg Gray, folks.
I ain't trying to explain that.
Remember the views. Remember that.
I'm just asking. I'm trying to learn myself.
Really?
Penis girls
Yeah.
have a vagina. Lily says they want to ban contraceptives.
Yeah.
And Ella, look, Gina, you and Ella gonna have to talk offline, okay? She says she out there shopping right now.
Lord have mercy.
What are you shopping for, Ella? Contraceptives?
but Black Google, you looking kind of what's your thoughts on vasectomies? I mean, like,
Look at his shirt.
You looked a little uncomfortable.
My thoughts on vasectomies is what women's thoughts are on abortions.
Go ahead, boy.
It's a choice.
The individual choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Around, boy. You better
I have nothing against it. I have nothing against it at all. But my thing is that they saying to stop abortions, get a vasectomy. That don't make no sense at all.
No, I agree with that.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying
No,
that.
I'm not saying that's what you're saying. But when we were talking on that subject, that's when the vasectomy came out there in the comments.
Yeah, people have to be responsible with birth control. It's birth control out
Exactly.
there if they don't want to have children.
I'm gonna tell you
Exactly.
Lanita says you also have women who cannot take the pill, cannot have their tubes tied due to medical conditions.
Yeah. That's true.
Greg is funny. It's the connection, Greg. Just
No,
like
yeah,
Greg
yeah.
says. Yeah, I glanced past that. But I know somebody a guy who had a long time ago when I was working for a company. Guy had a vasectomy. Came into work the next day. Went to the bathroom. This guy was just bleeding all over the floor. Seriously.
But that was the old way of getting it done.
Yeah, he must have went in the back alley too.
That's when you got to get it cut and get the little cord snip.
The electronics technician, he probably tried to do it with the soldering iron. I don't know. But
I got a question for Ron real quick. Ron, when you went to go get it done, what percentage did they tell you that you would still be able to have kids?
Oh man, it was a while ago. It was very low. It was like a 15% chance. This is a guess, but I think it was something like 15, something like that.
So it's not infallible.
Well, Ron, you do know your body is self-healing. So, so that's been a couple years. You're about at
Don't scare
full
me, Kevin.
potencies right now. You're about at full charge now.
I go have another one right now.
You know what? Hey guys.
Right out the water, right?
Let's take a moment to redirect, regroup, and refocus, and let's get some life coaching in this, please.
She made it real white, did she? Hold on, wait a minute. Come on, girl, where you at? There we go, Jeff Relevant.
Hey, what's up? Life Coach Jeff coming to you. Real quick, wanted to talk about a word called trauma, okay? Now, trauma is defined as a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Now, how we can deal with trauma is accepting it first. Now, I'm not going to give you all the steps, but the first one is acceptance. Because if you accept trauma, what will happen is then you can move on to actually break through different barriers. I'm actually going to focus on that a little bit more as we go on. But first, I want to talk about acceptance. So when different things come into your life, the first part that we have a very difficult time with dealing with, is acceptance. You have to be able to recognize something is there that will affect your everyday life in certain situations. You have to accept it, because if you do not accept it, you will have a hard time moving forward in life and taking accountability for certain actions that you have. So just think on that today. Remember, Life Coach Jeff, redirect, regroup, refocus, Dope Living TV Live. Peace out.
Redirect, regroup, refocus.
Hey.
Coach Jeff.
Be real.
Comment here. He says, in all honesty, my mom was going to abort my brother and I, and if she had, there would be no Life Coach Jeff, and there would not be a minister, Jimmy Relaford. So it is a real choice with real consequences of not knowing what type of life could be born and not knowing the impact that they can have on the world. But it's still a choice. Women do have the right to choose.
Yes, they do have a choice. But you got to look at it this way also. Women, Big Sister Gina and Big Sister Marcy, don't get mad at me what I'm about to say. Women, you have to make better choices about who you lay down with.
Yes.
You can't lay down with
get
the person.
mad at all about that.
You're not gonna lay down with a person for that time being. And when you find out you're pregnant, you can't see yourself with that guy that impregnated you.
Ray and Pookie.
So you have to make better choices also.
And Ray.
You know what I'm saying? The man my brothers on here, don't slap me when you see me in person. My brothers on here, don't slap me when you see me in person. The man gonna lay down who they want to lay down. That's just gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? But you just gotta be responsible and respectful. Most guys are not gonna be responsible in this situation.
Back in the day.
Because once you get that first feeling,
howl at the moon.
Once you get that first feeling, it's not the same.
Yesterday.
Well,
it's not the same.
My daddy always told me when that wick is lit, it don't go out until you're dead.
Greg said, I'm what they need.
That's what daddy told me. Once it's lit, it's lit. Ain't no putting it out.
But Chris, you put it
Greg,
mildly.
behave.
You put it very mildly. All these women know that he wasn't any good before you lay down. Why are you surprised he ain't around when?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lillian says that's the problem. Men need to be more respectful. The women, as he just said,
we do.
We can be respectful,
but we need to be more. We need to be more responsible also.
Yeah. Women choose
women
right.
and men.
He's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
choose right.
Women and men.
There are respectful men out there, but a lot of women just choose not to lay with them.
Yep.
Well,
I don't want to say a lot.
Give me 1 minute. For those who are just tuning in, we're talking about Roe versus Wade.
It don't sound like it, but that's what it is.
That's what it sounds like. Tina James says, gave me an idea to add the question vasectomy. Yes or no to my dating questions.
Tina.
What's up, Pat Dorflin?
Hey, Pat.
Ryan says, as a man who is a bad choice for some woman, what Black Google is saying would keep me from getting laid.
No, not really. Hey, look. It's just irresponsible, bro. You still get yours. You just got to be responsible doing it. And just remember, if you're not wearing protection, she can still get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to finish in her. You don't have to ejaculate in her. Just the pre-splash before it comes can still get a pregnant. So,
and unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that.
They don't.
Splash waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
Make love to me.
You know, it's so many different arguments you could have about this.
Yes.
It's just so many out there, and it's really just it takes me it's blowing my mind to know that we're back at this, because like I said, I can remember back when this was huge all over television. Everywhere you went, you saw people protesting, people with signs. I mean, it was at the top of the conversation. And once Roe versus Wade went through, I don't think people ever thought that we would be here again.
Well, remember after Roe versus Wade in 1992, the Planned Parenthood versus Casey trial.
That's true.
They were trying to overturn it then.
Yep.
Hey, so
And
Pat
then
asked a question.
they were pulling lies out of it, but then they were talking about that the government was funding abortions and all of that stuff through Planned Parenthood, which was not true.
Pat asked the question: if the mother can decide not to take the responsibility of being a mom, why can't the dad? And you know, when I first got married, my ex-wife, she worked for Planned Parenthood. All right, and it became a discussion for her and I, because you know I'm pro-life. I mean, but I would never tell her what to do or whatever, right? But it became a discussion for us. It was almost a daily discussion of us talking about what happened. And these girl came in and her mother, and you know, different situations we talked about. And I just, you know, my answer all the time was like, don't do it. You know, tell them don't do it. She says, well, I can't tell them don't do that.
Well, the main reason was like one of the reasons we're in the situation that we're in now is that they stopped sex education in high school.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They stopped and they stopped big upping Planned Parenthoods also. Because you remember we used to be able to go down, what was that, 7? I think it was 6 or 7 in Broadway.
Yeah.
And they used to give you the bag full of them.
That's where she worked at.
For free.
I stayed
for free. You know what I'm saying?
Before I knew her.
They had to put teenage women on, ladies on pills too for free.
But see, here's the problem right now, okay? And Chris just brought up a good point. They stopped teaching sex education in school, but the girls go to school, titties out, ass out, you know, enticing your brother. The brother got his pants all the way down by his knees, okay?
Don't take too much.
They ready. They already ready, and they don't understand what it is. They just trying to get that. And then the dance, you know, there's a dance where the guy is held up by 5 of his friends, and the girl comes back, and they just grind it. They're just grinding, okay? There's no education. It's just y'all do what y'all gonna do.
I ain't seen that video yet.
Hey, look, I'm gonna see you like,
hey, my son. I have a 27-year-old son. When I took him to a party that they wanted me to be there and chaperone. I can't chaperone all of that because if you break this one up, it's someone in the other corner doing something else. They purposely trying to make you go around.
Yeah, if they had sex education in high school back in the day, and if they showed the pictures that I showed my daughter and my son from sex education, from having herpes, genital warts, and all that stuff, it'd be a lot of people that would have waited. Waiting.
We saw some stuff in school. We saw some stuff in school that, you know, it's
We
like,
did.
yeah,
We were together. Maurice, we were together.
You're right.
Yeah.
That is a deterrent. My grandmother used to tell my sisters, you know, that her mother said, you can't get with me until you get a degree. You know, we our children, young people, they don't have a standard. They live in the moment, and they don't think about tomorrow.
Not at all. They think about it later on, though. Pat Dorfin said,
"You got, hey Kev, you got a dose to think like that."
I know.
Pat says if the dad decides not to take responsibility, he goes to jail. But if the mom decides not to take responsibility, she gets help to do so. Doesn't make any damn sense. Lanita says Planned Parenthood was funding healthcare and education for abortion and childbirth. He says absolutely. You know what I used to do, man? And people called this stupid, and some of the women that I was with, they thought it was stupid too. Thank God I grew up and you know, got some sense. You know, and you know, we did have sex education, but you know, I'm stupid. I was a comedian for the majority of my life. I would bring some litmus paper with me, all right? And so I would tell the girl, I have to check you first. So put the litmus paper in, take it out. I told her if it turned green, you're rotten, okay?
I know you didn't.
And she let you do that.
She believed me too. She believed. If If it
man.
turns
Just like
green,
remember that
you
one
right,
in
we
your
ain't
ear?
doing nothing.
Give in your ear, take some earwax and
Ain't nothing going on.
Y'all got something new on me, and
I never got a green one though.
it was guy stuff.
They all
very
turn
new on
purple.
me.
Look,
I
here's the thing, man. Half the cats out here, whether it turn green, red, yellow, they throw it to the side.
They gonna get it anyway.
Man,
They
I'm
would
nasty, man.
now?
I'm a
Yeah.
man. We are. I mean, we just nasty sometimes. Like,
But
I mean,
you know something, you can't put that on. I mean, we don't get you have to be honest. The only way we get to the happy place if we get an invitation and the door is unlocked. Otherwise, it's a crime when we get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it this way
because my cameras are right here. But yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to look at it this way too, man. It was the situations are, you know, back in the day, we had big cousins, uncles, fathers, you know what I'm saying, that would sit down with us.
Yeah.
During my generation, you know, we had, even though it was probably like that back then, but in my generation, it was a lot of babies having babies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Where they wasn't able to really understand or live their life into. So they want to try to live their life while trying to raise a baby in their 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But that's the reason why.
And it's a lot of them that didn't have, I'm not going to say they didn't have the support of their mother, but
didn't have the skills.
They have a baby when they're 20 and their mama only 38.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's the reason why.
I'm only 38. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
the reason why.
When we was like, I had mine at 20, but I had my mom. You know what I'm saying? She had a grandmother. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of them that grandmothers was in they late 30s.
Yeah.
They were still trying to party.
Right.
So they're not trying to babysit. They trying to go out on the weekend.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But that's the reason why, you know, with our young population, that the history is not being taught. There's not a standard or respectability, because it's almost impossible for a child to educate another child when they're still trying to find where their education lies.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's 100% correct. Because I mean, like, if you're, it's like taking advice from a friend when you're not really getting an experienced person giving you advice. Someone that's been your age before, you trying to get advice for someone that's the same age as you.
Yeah.
Wow. Betty says some women make mistakes, unfortunately, due to some men telling them what they want to hear. Then, due to women being emotional beings, young-minded or immature, this is when some mistakes are made with her becoming emotionally attached to the words coming out of his mouth. Her emotions may set in, and perhaps rejection from the guy. Then she may make the decision to abort. Again, it depends on the situation, my opinion.
No, that's all facts, because I mean, you know, you got some men that got the gift of gab. You know what I'm saying? But that's their representative. You know what I'm saying? We talk about representatives on here a lot.
Yeah.
Greg, you older now. I'm talking about
Kevin
young men.
cracking up.
But yeah, I mean, you know, that's the whole thing. But men, this is what we have to realize too. Young boys, young men, and men. This is what we have to realize. Our gift of gab is not working. She knew 30 seconds to 45 seconds if she wanted to sleep with you before you even opened your mouth.
You gonna call me?
That's
you gonna
crazy.
call me
That's
tomorrow, ain't
true.
you?
That
Yeah,
is
I'm gonna call you tomorrow for real.
Yeah.
the truth.
Chapter 2. That's all I need to say.
Right.
Says, as far back as I can remember, my mom always said, keep it capped. And my dad always saying, you pay for the next 18 years for one night's fun. What are parents teaching the kids today? Parents ain't teaching the kids today. That's
Parents are out there at the clubs with the kids.
Well,
that's
the problem.
Girl, let me borrow your lipstick.
TikTok.
You borrow Atlanta.
Yep, the internet is teaching the kids now.
What was that, Kevin?
I said tank tops, two-top, TikTok, everything else. The mom's wearing the daughter's outfit.
Say all the teas.
Yeah. I mean, like she just said, three minutes of fun can lead to 18 years of heartache.
Not necessarily heartache, but
No, it could be heartache, because you got to realize most of the men, majority, 65% of the men is not going to stay around.
Especially if he just gave you 3 minutes.
You're right. Because she gonna be mad. She gonna be mad. They can break it off. That's gonna be their last time talking. Now she
That goes back to what you said. That goes back to what you said, Chris. They got the wrong guys. You go to Houston, Texas, man, and they looking for guys that are scammers. Okay, they looking for them type of guys. All right, come on, man. Betty Hill says Pat Dorflin. Some, nothing, because some of them are being entrepreneurs in the bedroom. Absolutely. Tina Jane says she knows if she wants you. She knows if she wants you
or not. Or not.
It's supposed to be or not. We got you.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Hey, 3 minutes.
3 minutes. I'm like Bernie Mac, man. I give you a minute and 45 seconds.
180 seconds.
That's it. Many times the screwing you get isn't worth the screwing you get.
Oh, exactly.
Makes sense.
That fella said 3 minutes.
You know what? I would like for you to play the anti-abortion.
My bad. I forgot about the rest of them doggone videos.
Because we got to show the pros and the cons.
Let's go. Anti-abortion right now.
Thank you, Gina.
Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks, but she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a SOFR clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and a half-inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart and lungs. Head on the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you could pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times, sometimes a little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
Why did... Whoa.
What the hell?
Yeah.
But that's how it happens, bro. You gotta realize.
That's how it happens. That's how it happens.
I've been in situations on both ends, but after I saw my daughter being born, I was like, it's like before you see your child born, okay, you all for abortions. But after you see your child born, it changes your whole mind. Change your whole mind on everything.
And then when you hear how that procedure actually works,
that was a doctor.
It'll change your mind in a heartbeat.
You're exactly right.
I'm done.
Lillian Howard says, yes, my grandparents would say parents can talk to kids for 18 years, but a man can talk to them in 5 minutes and go to bed with you.
I mean, I got them skills, but still, I'm not proud of those skills now. That's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. That's just terrible.
That's reality.
But see, you gotta realize in the 70s, man, it was different. It was a lot of different stuff. Like in the 70s, like in 72, that's when they really let people that wasn't married get the same contraceptives of people that were married. You know what I'm saying? That's what 72. In 77, they passed, because in 72, before 77, you had to get your condoms from a licensed physician. That's the way, that was the law before the Supreme Court changed. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it was really a lot for married couples, where even though abortions were what they were, it's just wasn't it's like this. The laws that we have, the Constitution wants to be all over it. Right. They want to basically control us in any way possible that they can. They don't want you to have any type of free will choices. They want to be able to tell you what to do and what not to do. And that goes back to what we talked about in slavery. When slavery was quote unquote abolished, I say quote unquote abolished.
Yeah.
When it was abolished, we were all the skilled workers. You know what I'm saying? So what did they do? They end up creating the laws that, okay, you're really a slave again once you go back to jail. You know what I'm saying? Once you serve time in jail, you are now a slave again. All your rights are taken away from you. So now it's a situation where everything you do and everything we do, it has to go through some type of law, rigoring type of situation where they have to pass the law. They have to bring the law in front of everybody and do all of that. And that's just to control us the way they controlled us during slavery. But they're not just controlling people of color, they're controlling all people.
But needless to say,
Because,
Planned
and this is my
Parenthood
last thing, and back to what I think our name Darren was talking about, yes, Black people are having a lot of babies, but they are never having more babies than white people. Never. That's not true. The only place
Not in
in the
America,
United
anyway.
States that has more babies than white people, in America, the only place that's having more Black babies than white babies is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. That's the only place in the United States of America where it's more Black babies than it is white.
And Atlanta.
No, not even in Atlanta.
similar to that one, Nita says.
What was you about to say,
And the
Chris?
kids wasn't listening. And Jeff says, when Megan and I lost our child and knowing that she was small enough to be aborted, it's definitely an eye-opener. It would be hard for me with what I have seen, to accept an abortion. Go ahead.
But if you look at the two videotapes and look at the conversation that Chris had early on about putting sex education back into the school system, when it comes to making a choice, you have all the evidence. It's just like our history. Let's be honest. This is the risk and this is the reward. All of us know after seeing one of our kids that we could have never made that decision of aborting our child. So as long as you have all the information out there and you know the truth, then it's up to you to make that decision what's best for you.
Now, I did see a baby look like Louis Armstrong and wonder why that chick didn't abort that one, for real. But that's a whole nother. And then I saw one next to them look like Sammy Davis Jr. So I was like, what the hell?
Okay, so it's about that time.
And one more thing, the what's the name that we used to talk? I don't know if we talked about on live, about when they were talking about you can abort a baby 7 days after they were born. That's not true. The whole headline. They said they passed a law that you can actually kill the baby 7 days after they're born.
No,
that's not true.
In this country.
They might end up in jail.
Look at that too.
Real quick, Betty Hill says that if a video was shown to young girls and young women before they decided to ever have a sexual relationship, then perhaps they would rethink the choice to have sex. Pat says, I'm against it 100, but I'm also against the government control and what we can and can't do. We all have to answer for our sins. Byron says, I know people who have kids and want to retroactive abort. True, Kev. These are the preventative measures for us to think before we lay. But of course, in certain circumstances. So what have we learned today?
Be like Ron, get a vasectomy and try to get as much as you can. That's what I learned.
So that's the message we should give the kids, right?
That's what I learned.
Well, I'll start off with our closing remarks. And there's like I stated earlier, there's so many circumstances and so many arguments that we can have about this. I think at the end of the day, it's an individual's decision on whether or not to be a parent or not. And I think that option should be available for them. You may be against having an abortion, but my opinion shouldn't flow into someone else's. That's my opinion. That's something I wouldn't do. But there are circumstances where the options should be there.
Okay, Ron, go ahead.
I would say we're talking about a woman's body. It's a woman's choice in what she wants to do. But I think we need to do a better job as a people, as a nation, to like Chris said, to educate young people. You can't just throw this out there and just talk about abortion without talking about education. Taking responsibility. This is a deep conversation. You have to take responsibility for your actions.
Absolutely, Chris.
In this situation, I agree with what Gina said, what Ron said, and 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, I'm gonna agree with what Marcy, Kevin, and Mo is gonna say after me. 10 times out of 10, really. A man should never make laws on a woman's body, and vice versa. You just have to really, you really have to understand the toll it takes on a woman. And anything that goes through, like I said before, the Supreme Court, just follow the dollar, because that's where you're gonna find the answer of why they're doing what they're doing.
Okay, real quick, Betty Hill says we have learned that women should have the right to decide what we should be able to do with our bodies. And Pat says, say it louder, Miss Gina. And of course, Byron says, develop a good pullout game.
That's the hardest game to develop.
Okay, again, I say I am against abortions because of my beliefs. I am for women having control over their own bodies and not the government telling women what to do with their bodies. People, be more responsible, be more respectful of each other. And people, don't allow Roe versus Wade to take your focus off of other things that are also going on with the government in our country, because this is important, the Roe versus Wade, but there are a lot of other things that are going on as well. So don't let that take your distract you. I'll put it like that.
Hey, Marsh, you reading your
closing remarks
off a cue card?
Am I doing what? No.
You reading your last words off a cue card?
No, I'm trying to look. What you
She
think
came
that?
prepared.
No, I was not reading. I'm trying to look.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, like I said in the beginning, there is another agenda. Again, keep your focus on what's going on in the background, because this right here is a big old ruse. And again, we got to remember, even though that is a ruse, that women do have the right to have that choice. I mean, there's not a guy in this planet that should be making a choice for a woman, because again, we're only the messengers of the message. We're not the execution or the judge.
Kevin?
All right, I'm going to say this. It doesn't make a difference if I'm for or against it. I'm a man. I don't have that right. And I'm going to tell you people that are sitting in the White House, your grandparents that you've elected in there, you're a man. You don't have that right. What I am saying to every single female out there is to educate yourself before you lay down on the pros and cons of the decision you're making for that 3 minutes, that 20 minutes, or whatever the case may be. If you get lucky, that lucky, it is your right to make the decision to either bring a child into this world or abandon the concept of bringing a child in the world. These grandparents can't do these. These freaking old men can't do it.
Nope.
Make the right choice, but educate yourself on the risk and the reward of bringing a child into this world.
45 minutes and 17 seconds, bro. Check this out, though. This would be a moot point if the women chose the proper mate and the man to go down that whole line with her. Okay, so there would never have to be a Roe versus Wade discussion, because both, anytime that a child is conceived, it's wanted. It's a labor of love. So since that's not the way it is, be careful who you sleep with. Be careful of your decisions of who you lay down with. And we've all said it. I mean, it's the woman's choice. We can't control, as a man, we can't control the woman's body. Okay, but let's be respectful when it comes to that point. Let's respect her. Let's support her. And let's just be there for each other. There's a lot of stuff going on, as Marcella said. All right, this isn't the conversation that we normally have, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. So let's continue to talk about not just this, but everything. All right. And this is Dope Living TV Live. We are going to be back tomorrow. Betty Hill says, with prayer and supplication, make your requests known to God. Absolutely. We can close out on that, right?
That's right,
See you
Betty.
guys tomorrow.
Are we talking about the Rico law tomorrow?
Tomorrow's about them rappers, bro.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's get it, get it. Don't stop,
Snitching.
get it, get it.
Self-snitching.
Don't stop, Doodle Brown. Don't stop, Doodle Brown. All right, we got to get out of here. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, Dope Live TV Live. Peace.
Good night.